My dad tried to force me out of my own house for my pregnant stepsister. This time, I stood up to him. I'm a 34-year-old guy dealing with some serious family drama. My self-centered, mostly absent dad, 62, recently found out how much I'm making at my new job, and suddenly, he's trying to kick me out of my own house, all in the name of family. Here's the deal. My stepsister, Karen, 29, got herself pregnant, and between her questionable career choices as an escort and OnlyFans model, she's having trouble finding a place to live. Now my dad thinks he's found the perfect solution. Yes, it's me. He wants me to give up my house and my hard-earned money to help my stepsister, all because she's made some questionable life choices. The irony. This is the same dad who wanted nothing to do with me growing up. But now that he's discovered I've got a nice house and a good income, he's suddenly all about how we're blood and family. My dad openly rejected any responsibility for me multiple times when I was growing up. But now he's not only trying to remind me that he's my father, he's also pushing me to strengthen my bonds with his wife and her daughter. Sure, Karen is technically my half-sister, but I was shipped off to boarding school so early that we never really formed any kind of connection. Looking back, I'm kind of glad we didn't, because what I've learned about her lately has been pretty disappointing. I want to be clear. I'm just venting here. These are my thoughts and feelings, and you might not agree with them, but I need to get this off my chest. I don't really have anyone else to talk to about this. Karen is my half-sister. She's doing things that make my dad proud, though I'm pretty sure he doesn't know the whole story. She works as an escort and has an unsuccessful OnlyFans account. Dad calls her his pride and joy, completely oblivious to what she actually does for a living. I'm not super conservative, but I do have my principles, and I'm focused on my career. I date when I have time, trying to get to know women properly. Sometimes there's a connection, but things don't work out because of distance or schedules. Other times, there's just no chemistry. I prefer not to have casual hookups. I'm waiting for the right person. Having a high body count isn't something I'm interested in. That's just my personal choice. My stepsister sees things differently. She's lost count of her partners, and while I try not to judge, I worry about her safety as an escort. Some clients can be dangerous. Plus, she posts explicit content online, though it doesn't seem to bring in much money. I found out about this from a friend who she'd propositioned after they went for drinks. He showed me her page after telling me she'd sent him the link. He claims he didn't know she was my sister when they went out. I'm not sure if I believe him, but whatever. She's constantly broke and hitting up Dad for money, so I assume her online ventures aren't very successful. I've seen her getting into cars with older men and sneaking back into the house at odd hours. I noticed this during my college breaks, though I'm not sure if she's still doing it. Either way, I want nothing to do with it. I have a respectable job that I've worked hard for, even though I haven't lived much with my new family. Since Dad was always eager to send me away, I've seen enough of Karen to know she takes after her mother, Susan, 58. Susan seems to think she was some kind of celebrity in her prime. She used to be a flight attendant and was attractive enough to catch the eye of guys like my dad. Now she's your typical Botoxed Karen with claws for nails who runs a neighborhood daycare. How parents trust their kids with those talents is beyond me. Susan's got an opinion about everything and loves stirring up drama in other people's lives. Her voice is like nails on a chalkboard, and she's got more plastic in her than a Tupperware factory. She's about as genuine as a $3 bill. She's always had my dad wrapped around her finger, and I'm pretty sure she's the main reason he shipped me off to boarding school when I was 8. She didn't want to deal with raising someone else's kid. Now about my dad, he's really the root of all this drama. He's got this attitude that everything he does is justified because he's lived a whole life, so he supposedly knows better. He's told me straight up that he regrets having me because I'm nothing like him. Honestly, thank God for that. My mom was different. She was strong and knew what mattered in life. She took good care of my dad until things fell apart. Even then, she always told me that Dad wasn't a bad person, just different. She'd say that no matter what happened, he'd always be my dad, and I shouldn't forget that. She was too good of a person to poison my mind against him, but I'm sure he was just as unbearable to her as he is now. They separated and got divorced when I was 4. 2 months later, Dad married Susan. They had Karen when I was 5, and then my mom died in a car crash. She was coming to pick me up from school. She was always on time, except for that one day. She was just 10 minutes late, but to a kid waiting, it felt like hours. Some drunk driver hit her at an intersection. He survived. She didn't. I waited at school for 2 hours before anyone came to get me. When Dad finally showed up, I remember him looking at Susan with this annoyed expression, asking what they should do with me. Her response? "Your kid, your problem." Well, right back at you, Dad. Now you can't just show up and expect me to take care of your spoiled kid. I've worked my butt off since I was 15. After boarding school, I went to college, only coming home for holidays. So basically, I've been on my own since I was 8. I've put in serious effort to get where I am, and I recently bought my first house. It's nothing fancy, but it's way better than the apartment I was sharing with friends. Even though I'm not exactly close with my family, I figured I should include them in this milestone moment. So I invited them to my housewarming party. Man, you should have seen my dad's face. He looked straight up jealous, asking all these pointed questions about the furniture, the architect, and the interior designer. Every answer I gave was met with some snarky comment, like I wouldn't know. You never bothered telling me. He kept trying to make our rocky relationship obvious in front of everyone, even my boss. A week later, Dad called me saying he needed to meet urgently. I was swamped at work with this complex project, but I agreed anyway. When I got home, I found Susan and Karen in the living room. Susan looked angry as usual, and Karen, with red, puffy eyes, gave me the side eye. Dad was in the kitchen pulling beers from the fridge. He offered me one, which I politely turned down, wondering what bomb he was about to drop. When I asked what this was about, he got all high and mighty, asking if I'd finally started giving a damn about us. Then he insisted we all move to the living room for some kind of family meeting. I sat across from them, feeling like I was about to face a firing squad. Dad put his beer down and hit me with this gem. "Are you blind?" When I didn't respond, he went on about how I must either be blind or choose not to see what's happening around me. According to him, I'd gotten too proud with my new house and was ignoring the people who actually mean something. Finally, after all this buildup, they dropped a bomb. Karen was pregnant. I started to congratulate her, but before I could get the words out, she burst into tears. Susan hugged her while Dad explained that the father had bailed as soon as he found out about the baby. Karen wanted to keep it, and apparently, that's where I came in. My first question was whether she could afford it, which earned me death glares from both Karen and Susan. I honestly meant well. I was already thinking maybe they needed help with money, which I was willing to consider. But then Dad moved to sit next to me. And that's when things went off the rails. He started this whole speech about being a good father to his girl, and how my mother must not have taught me how to be a good brother, but that brothers should give their lives for their sister's comfort. I almost laughed out loud. Sure, I could help financially, but die for her? Come on. When I asked what exactly they wanted from me, Dad smiled and patted my back like I was finally getting it. But what came next was absolutely insane. "You're giving your house to Karen." "No, I'm not," I said immediately. Dad frowned. "Why not?" I told him I could help with some money, maybe even let her stay in a room rent-free until she got back on her feet. But Dad jumped up, shouting that this wasn't enough. He wanted me to not only give her the entire house, but also move out and buy another place for myself. Oh, and by the way, I'd still be responsible for all the bills and maintenance, since Karen couldn't afford them while pregnant and unemployed. Hell no. I tried to stay respectful, but I'd had enough. I got up and told them this wasn't happening, then left. I learned that healthy relationships require boundaries, honesty, and mutual respect. Success earned through hard work should be protected, and we shouldn't let guilt or manipulation force us into decisions that compromise our values or well-being.